G'day folks, we're back out in the shop. The Montana has returned. We are going to try to locate this fuel leak and the power steering leak. Okay, so last time we were here, we were looking at all this oil here and trying to figure it out. Now again, they get the car sprayed with oil, so undersprayed with oil as a rust preventative. So that's probably some of this. But the smell of gas back here is overwhelming, and this obviously right under the gas tank. But when you do that, it's just oil. I think I might have located it. Right here where the strap is, that's overpowering, and that is gas. And it's not leaking from above. That's dry up there, so I think the front part of the tank might be rusted through. And that's a common spot right in the front corner down below where all the water sits. We might be in for changing the gas tank out. So we're gonna have to make some phone calls and see what we can come up with. So when I said to you guys last time how the floor in this was lowered, you can see where the subframe rails are. Everything here is down a couple inches. So it's all been heavily modified down in here, but it's just soaked the whole floor. And it's oil. It's all oil. Some power steering. It's soaked from bumper to bumper down here with oil, and I suspect most of that, like I said, is the undercoating they get done. But it makes it very difficult to find a leak, let me tell you. I do have one for you though. Your oil filter. When I looked under here, there was a drop of oil right on the corner. Well, that's probably not a good thing. Oil filter should not be able to come off that easy. That's a good 3 good turns too loose. So hopefully that fixes something. We'll check the oil on this thing. We're still hunting the power steering. There's 3 patches on this one line here. So there's your rack and pinions right there. You see there's a lot, obviously all the hoses go in and out of there. So that same line that's patched over here is patched up here as well. Right there you can just make out the 2 hose clamps. So there's a patch there as well. And that's not wet either. The rack itself is a little wet, but that doesn't account for why it emptied itself out again already. The boot's wet, so it's possible the rack itself is leaking. And I don't see it actually coming out of the ends. So I don't think it is the rack. I may just have to fill it up and let it idle for a while and see if I can get it to leave some drops on the floor. Well, drips never lie, folks. Okay, so it is definitely that repair that somebody did that's dripping. I wiped that off earlier. You can see it's weeping. So we're going to cut that section out and see if we can't fix it a little better. What are you doing out here? Okay, so I hunted down the leak. The end of this one hose, the clamps were literally too tight, and you can see they were splitting it. That's what was going on. I had to cut the very top, but there's a hole right there. And that's where all the dripping action was coming from. Okay, well, it's the next day. The power steering fix. Sat here all night. There's not a single drop. So fingers crossed that one worked. The gas tank, I sprayed it all off with WD-40, cleaned off all that oil and got it as dry as I could. And I come out this morning. This side is fine. There's no gas here. That's oil. However, this area here that, as you can see, is cleaned right off because, hey, gasoline is a solvent, right? Pure gas. So I went yesterday and I looked around to try to find a tank for this because I figured that was going to be what the issue was, because Pontiac doesn't exist anymore since what, 2010 I think it was when they stopped making Pontiac. So a lot of parts companies are discontinuing parts for them. Every place I went to for a tank, no joy. Tried Rock Auto, tried Amazon, tried a couple of onlines. I called the local shops here in town, and nobody can find me a tank. So I'm going to undo this strap, pull it down, and when I do, it's probably going to start coming out a lot faster. So I got to get it clean off really quick and get a patch put on there. Okay, let's get this 16 mil out of here. One reason I'm putting that in is because the tank is 3/4 full, last I checked at least. And I don't want to put too much stress on that old strap. Well, it's not pouring out, which that was my worry. But it's definitely, oh, you ever smell it now? Just years worth of dirt and water trapped in there. Okay, so if there was ever any doubt that I wasn't on the right track, well, there you go. This has been patched. That's a patch right there. And you can see how it's weeping around it. And if I stick my fingernail under right there, I can actually flick it and have gas come out. So it was patched, and it either rusted more or the patch was never any good. Okay, there's what we're using, Permatex fuel tank repair. It's just a little tube of goop. You cut it off, mix it with your fingers and push it in. Nothing to it. Okay, so when you're kneading it up, it kind of takes on a resemblance of chewing gum after a while. You don't want to contaminate it with your oil or anything that might be on your hands, so good to wear gloves, and it's got a particular smell to it. All right, so there's a patch. We're gonna let that harden for about an hour, and then I'm gonna throw the strap back on. I wanna make sure it's not weeping around the edges or soaking through or anything anywhere. This tank has had a few patches on it. Looks like one on the other strap, same spot. It's not seeping, and it looks like there was a patch right here as well. That's not seeping. So I guess they went 2 out of 3 on their patches, so that's not too bad.
Alright, today we got something.
Oh, Fabrats, you keep me entertained. Okay, front of the engine. 1, 2, 3 welds, 4 welds, 5 with this new piece and this god-awful thing. 6 welds, a reducer, 7 welds, 8 welds, 9 welds, 10 welds, 11 welds, 12, 13, 14, left some of your MIG wire there. You can hear that. They couldn't get at this one. You think after 12 welds they could at least finish the job. Okay, we're just putting the strap back on. Looks like we have it more or less sorted out. Okay, folks, well, it's been about 2 hours since we did the patch. This stuff hardens in an hour, cures in 5 hours. So at this point, you could probably safely drive it, especially because it's underneath the strap, and the strap is helping hold everything together. But it's bone dry all around the patch, and I don't smell gas anymore. So hopefully this is going to hold for them. There's an example of how you can patch a tank. And it's not intended to be a permanent fix, but a lot of times that's exactly what ends up happening. The only reason I decided to do a patch kit on this instead of actually just changing the tank, which is the right thing to do, was because you can't get a tank for this thing. I spent 3 days looking for a Pontiac Montana gas tank for this, and everywhere I looked is discontinued. The local parts guys couldn't find one. Anyway, it wasn't even in their system anymore. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe, and getting that off the lift and outside. And I got the next one already outside, ready to come in. We'll see us on the next one.